So today I would like to share with you my limited palette 2025. I will introduce you all my colors, and at the end of this video I will introduce two new colors in order to extend that limited palette. So starting with the white, I have Utrecht white, which is a combination between titanium white and zinc white. I have cadmium yellow lemon from Utrecht. I have cadmium yellow light from Utrecht. I have transparent iron oxide red from Utrecht. I have cadmium red medium from Rembrandt. For the red that leans towards blue, I have permanent Madder Deep from Rembrandt. I have permanent alizarin crimson from Utrecht. So I use either of these two red. On my last video, limited palette 2024, some really awesome viewers shared some very good insight about other pigment that we can add to replace alizarin crimson. I'm very satisfied with these two replacements. Now it's been more, I think, around a year that I use them, and I'm very satisfied with the result. I will say that permanent alizarin crimson from Utrecht is a slightly more transparent than permanent Madder Deep, but both do the job, and they are very good pigments, so I'm very happy with that. I don't mind experimenting with another pigment in the future. I will see what's available when I need to replace these tubes, but so far I'm very happy with these two tubes, with these two colors. For the blue, I have ultramarine blue from Michael Harding. I stopped using Rembrandt ultramarine blue deep because I really noticed, you can check my video if you haven't seen it, where I compare ultramarine blue from Michael Harding and ultramarine blue deep from Rembrandt. I just noticed that they are extremely similar. So Michael Harding, in my opinion, is a very good quality paint, and it's cheaper. So I buy now always my Michael Harding ultramarine blue. I'm very satisfied with this one. So this is my ultramarine blue. And then for the blue that leans towards green, I use as well, I use either cobalt blue from Winsor & Newton, either cerulean blue from Utrecht. I really like both, knowing that cobalt blue will sit more here on the the pure blue, and cerulean blue will sit more here on the blue-green spectrum here. So more towards green. I like both as well, knowing that cerulean blue, the tinting strength is very, very low. I will mention another. I will introduce an extra color at the end to solve that issue. And my last color on my palette is Rembrandt Viridian that I really like, and this one is a go-to green for me. So these are the 8 colors present on my limited palette. I'm really happy with that limited palette. So basically, this is a split primary palette. I have my yellow here, my red here, and my blue here. So my yellow is split in two. I have my cadmium yellow lemon here on the green, leaning on the green side. I have my cadmium yellow light leaning on the red side of the yellow. I have my cadmium red medium, that is around here, red orange. And I have my permanent Madder Deep or permanent alizarin crimson that will sit more here towards red violet. And then I have my two blues that sit, like I just mentioned before, here and here. I have two extra color on that split primary color, which is the transparent iron oxide red, which is orange. So I will say more or less here orange red, transparent iron oxide red. And I have the other extra color is Viridian, that will be more around here, I believe. There we go. So with that limited palette, I can reach that gamut more or less. So it's a very good gamut that I reach. I'm very happy with that limited palette. As you can see, it does the job. It's very nice. I will say that here I have some issues around the violet, the red violet, the violet red. They are very desaturated, the violet red that I can obtain with that palette, despite having permanent Madder Deep or permanent alizarin crimson. I think I can do a better job than what I did here, but I'm still pretty much desaturated here. and sometimes on the blue-green it can be the same, but for the blue-green I can use Viridian and Cobalt. This works pretty well to find the blue-green, the green-blue, but still it's still pretty limited. So to fight this, I can introduce, at least for the violet, I can introduce PV19 Quinacridone Rose. This is a wonderful color. So when I introduce that color, I can really extend my gamut on the violet red and the red violet. Here you can see they are very saturated compared to the red violet that I obtained here. So that's one way I can extend my gamut in that direction on the color wheel by adding PV19. I thought, because I'm trying each time to stay very limited on what color I bring with me when I paint outside, I thought I can replace these two colors, I can replace them by PV19, but it doesn't really work because then I'm limited in another way in my gamut. So the ideal solution is to have one of these two on my palette plus this one next to it. So I don't need this all the time, but sometimes if I paint flowers or certain subject in the city that has man-made printed colors that are very saturated, very bright, sometimes it's hard to obtain this red violet without PV19. So I think it's a good solution to easily extend the gamut on that side of the color wheel by adding PV19 once in a while, and it's just nice to experiment with a new color. And as well, if I want to extend the gamut in that direction, in the blue, I haven't put it here, but if I want to extend the gamut on the blue green direction, I can introduce Cobalt Teal. So Cobalt Teal is a little tricky, this color, because this is it's a PG50, so it's pigment green 50 and it's not a blue. So other manufacturer will place another pigment in their Cobalt Teal, so the name is pretty tricky here. We have to be careful. If you want this exact color, this is PG50, pigment green 50. And this allows me to extend my gamut here in the blue-green spectrum, which can be useful here because even with the Viridian and the Cobalt, Viridian and Cerulean works pretty good to extend, but it's never going to be as saturated as that. So this is a good extension in that direction of the color wheel for my limited palette. So final word on the limited palette. If I choose a limited palette like this, is really to learn how to mix my colors. It's easier to learn how to mix colors when you have a limited palette, because then you start to really understand the interaction between two pigments, how the pigment interact with each other. This is very important to understand in order to try to predict the color that you're gonna mix and how to mix your color basically. So I'm very, very satisfied with that limited palette. I keep experimenting, I keep improving this palette, but so far I'm very, very satisfied. And yeah, we'll see what I can come up with this year, but this is probably gonna be my limited palette for the whole year. I also wanted to mention that I choose primarily single pigmented tubes, because single pigmented tubes, I noticed that when there's a single pigment in the tube, the result of the mix is usually purer. The color is there's something more beautiful in the color that you obtain with a single pigmented color. So I'm trying to really choose each time a single pigment in my color tube and also in my tube of paint. And as well, because that way you really know what pigment you are mixing with what pigment, and this I feel it really helps when you're learning how to mix your color to not get messed up with a different pigment in one tube. So it's very important to me to choose a single pigmented tube of paint, and really helps with my color mixing, I felt. So there we go, that's it for today for my limited palette 2025. I hope this was useful. I hope this gives you idea for your own limited palette, and I'm looking forward to see you in the next one.